What's up everyone, it's Q from Retro Q Game. We're back with part 2, our continuation of Resident Evil 2. I should have actually just let the game pick up that part. Leon Campaign A. Now, as usual, if you're for some reason only jumping in straight on this one, the deal is the commentary is usually on story-based stuff and game and design choices. Here's a perfect example of our first use of the customized handgun. Fired in single, triple, and double. Oh, missed him. Once again, some of the many hidden items in Resident Evil 2. If you're wondering where the code was from that, we got it in one of the files shortly after we arrived in the police station in part 1. Now, there's a particular way I like to do this next part. Let's bust out my shotgun. And go crazy. There's our first zombie that we've blown in half. That was something I mentioned earlier. So I think that was a pretty effective use of ammo conservation. Something that, as I've mentioned before, is vital for a survival horror game. If you actually enter into this room for the first time through this door that I've actually just left from when you first unlock it, the zombies have different spawn locations in that room, including one right beside you. Whereas if you enter from the larger office area like I did, they're all further on down. Actually, you know what? We don't want to go this way just yet. And this is the box I was talking about earlier in part 1. As I mentioned, I'll actually explain what that does and what's related to it pretty soon. No heart attack this time. Shotgun comes in extremely handy for this room. We can still hear a zombie shuffling. Oh, he lunged at me. I was just about to say, had I not known he was there, because he wasn't moaning, and because of the camera angles, most players, first-time players, would walk around and just get hit. So this is one of the rolls of film I mentioned earlier. So just to get it out of my inventory, I'll show you how we use this. I believe in total, including the secret one from the STARS office, I believe there's 3 rolls of film in total. All of which, of course, are just file-based stuff to give slight more insight and backstory. So there's film A. We get film B later on as well. And as I mentioned in part 1, the film we're actually skipping is the secret one from the STARS office where you search Wesker's desk that's been trashed 50 times. And I'm not going to tell you what one that is, what you actually get from developing that film, but it's kind of a small little Easter egg. One thing to note about that zombie there, the guard from earlier obviously, is that when you walk into the room, the cutscene kicks in about here, where Leon is standing. But for the sense of danger and tension, when he actually gets up, you're roughly about here. You saw how close he was to me. Leaves very, very little time, especially for a first-time player, to get away unharmed. Now, so back to the other wing. Continue on what we had there. When you think about it as well, I backed up for a specific reason. The first time you enter this room, most players on their first time will come in through the door I just came in. Obviously, the first time you come in, you have zombies off screen. Usually not moving, but just possibly moaning. And you hear silence, except kind of a weird droning sound that you don't hear anywhere else. Now, it turns out it's just a ceiling fan, but you don't know that the first time you come in. And yes, that was just to free up inventory space. Lost count of bullets there a minute ago. So, when I talk about ammo conservation, a few minutes ago, I had nearly 200 bullets for my handgun. Now look at me, I've got less than 100. So it's all down to smart usage of them. You have to decide which zombies can I and should I skip, which zombies can I and should I kill. That's another infamous jump scare. For years, absolutely years, that one would get me over and over and over. Despite knowing it's there every single time, I would be anticipating it, but it would still get me for years. Unlike the one from part 1, which I completely forgot about and still got me to this day. Actually, I can talk about it now, because it will make perfect sense. So this cord that I picked up in the interrogation room, this cord is actually used for that box on the wall in the original liquor room. Remember the one that it said the cord was cut so power could not be supplied? There's 2 versions of that box, but there's only one cord. So you have to make a choice on which one you use it on. What it actually does is it sends down the shutters, so to prevent zombies breaking in randomly later on. Well, I say randomly, but seemingly randomly later on at set point. So because there's 2 locations, you have to choose which one to use it in, and it comes down to, well, I suppose, good design choice, as well as a little bit of the survival horror and conservation element. Personally, I use it on the second one, which we'll see now in a minute. But the reason I do it in the second one is the first liquor room, where we first saw that, the original box, you can actually bypass that room completely and never have to go back there again. My timing is still terrible on them. One thing to note about the liquor is when I entered the room, as well as the first time we fought the first liquor, you'll notice that they weren't aware of my presence. I stood still, and that was it. They didn't come at me straight away, they didn't automatically attack. They were slow moving and almost like they were trying to find me. Liquors are blind, but they have an exceptional sense of hearing. So if you walk, the general theory is that if you walk slowly like this, they cannot hear you. But for example, in the first room where we actually fought our first liquor, as well as some other rooms with liquors as well, there's things like broken glass and all on the ground, and if you step on them, liquors can hear it. So I think that's a great enemy design choice. For some reason, I could have sworn there were shotgun shells in there. It's been a while. So here's that second corridor. We'll use the cord. And the shutters come down, preventing the zombies from coming in. So many hidden invisible items in this game. There's another great design choice as well. You enter downstairs into a basement with some dark, ominous music, a claustrophobic camera angle, and just these new sounds that you haven't heard before. And even in a camera situation like this, we can see down the corridor, but obviously there's a wall. So there's a branching path left and right. We hear something fast and more dogs, but we can't see them. We can only hear them. We know they're there. We don't know where. For those of you wondering, you don't use shotgun shells on dogs, even if they're bunched up very close together like that. This area. Yeah, I'll show off this area. You'll see what I mean now in a second. So there was 2 dogs out of bounds. Once you come further into the area, they jump over. That was another great choice that was brought over from Resident Evil 1. There was 1 or 2 sections where you would see dogs out of bounds. They'd be following you around. You could see them, you could hear them, but you didn't know when or if they would jump in. And then, of course, on your first time, you move further into the area, and boom, the dogs attack. So, the area we're in now, it's kind of a For Leon, it's basically an optional area. What I mean by that is because I mentioned Leon and Claire's story varies slightly, including some of their allies. What happens is, during some of those set parts that are different for each person, they take place in different directions. So with Claire, her one actually takes place down this way. But Leon, his one takes place down somewhere else. And Leon has no point of coming down here. But the reason I wanted to come down and show this is just the fact that it's a small extra touch that the other two sidekicks, if you will, oh god, it hit me. Their story actually takes place in the same place, in the same couple of areas, and have to do the same thing. But the fact is, there's one or two small little extra areas that they come in from different sides for different reasons. It's just a nice little extra touch. There we go, some basic math skill. Resets the power. But an important thing to note is that while we have reset the power and activated the card reader that we see here, you still need the card reader. Or should I say, you still need the card. And that's technically an optional puzzle.
Sorry about that. When I saw the uniform, I thought you were another zombie.
Who are you?
Ada Wong.
And what are you doing here?
I'm looking for some guy named Ben. He's one of those reporter types, always looking for a scoop. I heard he was locked up in the cell block, only there's a wrecked car barring the entrance. I've been trying to find another way inside. If we work together, we can move this thing. Give me a hand here, will you?
Now, that gunshot when we first came in here actually also functions as a jump scare. Didn't get me this time. But an extra fun little fact here is way back in the day when this game first came out, a friend of mine got to this point and got stuck. He had never played Resident Evil 1 and he didn't know about pushing objects. Because up until now there's only one set of pushable objects, which were those two statues in the jewel puzzle, which doesn't actually need to be completed yet.
Ada, wait! Let me guess. You must be Ben, right? Get up, now!
What do you want? I'm trying to sleep here.
Is this the guy?
Ben, you told the city officials that you knew something about what's been going on, didn't you? What did you tell them?
And who the heck are you?
I'm trying to find my boyfriend. His name's John. He was working for a branch office of Umbrella, based in Chicago, but he suddenly disappeared 6 months ago. I heard a rumor that he's here in the city.
I don't know anything. And even if I did, why would I want to tell you?
Okay, I say we leave him in there. Does anyone know where they put the key to this cell?
I have it right here, officer. But I'm not about to leave this cell. Those zombies aren't the only things crawling around out there.
What was that?
Like I said, I'm not leaving this cell. Get out of here before you lead it right to me.
Hey, I'm not going anywhere. I'm the only cop left alive in this building.
What?
Look, if you want to live, then you're gonna have to leave with me.
But do you even know how to get out of the city? There's a kennel in the back of the building. Inside the kennel is a manhole. Go through and it'll lead you to the sewer entrance, but it won't be easy.
All right, I'm going.
And that was the room we passed just coming in here. Interesting thing as well is in what's partially a reference to Resident Evil 1, towards the end of that game, you find a file from a researcher named John, who uses his girlfriend's name as the password, whose name is Ada. So, John, Ada, that's a reference to Ada Wong here looking for John. Now, they could potentially not be girlfriend and boyfriend. There's a whole weird, convoluted backstory with Ada, which becomes more and more apparent and also more and more convoluted over the course of the future Resident Evil games. But I won't spoil that. Also a little bit of a jump scare for the first timers. Worked pretty well, no? That's also partially, I suppose you could call that a bit of a beginner's trap. It's kind of a risk-reward scenario. You're not going to know that the first time. You're just picking up the red herb. spider, I got turned around. And yes, that's one of our first, well, that's our first encounter with the giant spiders. I'm actually kind of ashamed I got hit by them there. They're exceptionally easy to avoid. I wasn't thinking ahead with inventory management just there. But this frees up a bit of inventory, so it's going to be worth it in the long run.
Ada?
I don't think I've introduced myself yet. My name's Leon. I'm with the RPD. It's a dead end.
You think we can get upstairs through this shaft? Give me a boost. I'll go and check.
So now you see what I mean. Her one just starts on a different side. She also has a different handgun. You notice it looks different, has 13 bullets. And she's got a main different key item as well. It's funny, this area here in particular, if you've ever heard of or played the abandoned tech demo, not abandoned tech demo, the abandoned original version of Resident Evil 2, which has kind of been colloquially called Resident Evil 1.5, it's available to download and play as ROMs on emulators and stuff. The area we were in a second ago actually somewhat resembles one of the main areas from Resident Evil 1.5. course, if you've ever seen either of the two most common abandoned Resident Evil prototypes, 1.5 being usually the more famous and popular of the two, and then there's the original Resident Evil 4, which looks extremely different from the Resident Evil 4 that we have. It basically involved Leon going around a haunted castle / mansion, followed by some almost unkillable ghost being. You can look them up on YouTube. The demos are both posted online. And this area here is where, when we found that area where Claire's one started that Leon had nothing to do with, when we examined the fence that looked like an adult couldn't fit through, that's the fence above Ada's head right now. So while the two sidekick characters takes place in the same part, the same area, you just enter from different sides. Once again, it's just a small extra nice touch, just to kind of differentiate it a little. It also makes a little bit more sense given the A and B scenarios.
Leon, can you hear me?
Ada, did you find anything?
Right here. Think fast. Here's one more. Hey, I can't reach the ventilation hole. I'm going to have to find another way around. I'll catch up with you later.
What? Ada, wait!
So those shotgun shells are just an extra little bonus for exploring around. The key is the only thing. The club key, our final fort precinct key, is the only actual requirement to progress the story. And now everywhere I go, I get hit by spiders. I'm not too worried about it though. I've been doing good on the health and ammo side of it. And as I mentioned at the start as well, it's more toning back to be a bit of an average run. An average player style run. If I was to do my usual, I'm just gonna say pro level one just for the sake of it, there'd be no commentary whatsoever. And I do not remember him being there. This is bad. So I'm on orange caution, which is, yeah, it's pretty bad. So I'm actually going to go back and get health. We've been playing for about 45 minutes. I don't want to die yet. Preferably at all, but I don't want to die from being nearly an hour since we saved. It's generally a good idea to obviously have weapons, ammo, one healing item on you at all times, as well as keep enough free space for whatever you may come in contact with. And that's how it's properly done. Now, because of the varying degrees of caution in this game, between varying degrees of, not just caution, there's varying degrees of fine, varying degrees of yellow caution, and varying degrees of orange caution. So because of all of that, I thought I'd get around them. Yeah, because of all of that, I'm probably on a very low level of fine. I'd say even one basic hit, not as basic as a spider bite or something like that, but one other basic hit would probably have me down to caution. That's something some people don't understand with the Resident Evil health systems. It's not so much a static amount, but there's varying degrees within each level of health. There we go. My timing is a lot better now with the getting back up. You have to time it just right so you can get it in after their invincibility frames end from them getting back up, but before they get a slice in at you. Kind of ominous. There we go. It's pretty important to get out of there as quick as possible, without taking damage preferably. But that's also an optional room that's tied in with the optional power puzzle and the optional, well, obviously keycard we just got. But it's generally worth it. It gives us access to this room here. Which of course is the armory or weapons locker. Now, the key thing about this room is not just what we saw there. It's not the shotgun shells. It's not the 2 things of handgun ammo, but those are nice. It's something else that we find in these lockers. So there's a machine gun and a side pack. So obviously the side pack, you can carry more items like he says here. It adds 2 extra inventory spots. And obviously the machine gun is a double slot weapon, which will allow for, you know, nice extra damage. However, because of the nature and an excellent design decision for Resident Evil 2, the Leon A campaign is currently taking place at the same time, parallel to the Claire B campaign. So, whatever I take, I can only take one of these items. Whatever one I take will not be there in the Claire B scenario. So you have to kind of choose and plan accordingly. Now, personally, because Leon has a lot more weapons, well, a lot more common weapons and variations on them, I personally prefer to take the side pack as Leon. That way Claire can get the machine gun and make up for her firepower. So there we have it, up to 10 inventory slots now. The machine gun actually ties into, in a way, a secret unlockable. And that, of course, is similar to Resident Evil 1. Oh, wait a minute, I could have sworn there's something in there. No. In Resident Evil 1, if you finish the game in under 3 hours, you can unlock an infinite ammo rocket launcher. And the Magnum. You get that pretty early in Resident Evil 2. Now, as I was saying, tied in with one of the secrets. So in Resident Evil 1, if you finish the game in under half an hour, wow, under 3 hours, you get an infinite ammo rocket launcher. In Resident Evil 2, there's, let's see, 5 different unlocks. So depending on your performance and your grade in the campaigns you get, you can unlock either an infinite ammo rocket launcher, infinite ammo machine gun, infinite ammo Gatling gun, or 2 extra unlockable characters with side campaigns. The 2 extra side campaigns, one being Hunk, who's an Umbrella Special Forces operative, the other being Tofu, who is, as his name suggests, a giant block of tofu. And what you have to do in those 2 extra campaigns is you're placed in a certain part of the game. It's always a set specific part. And they have a fixed inventory, and you have to escape. You have to get to a certain place. Hunk has various types of machine guns and weapons and ammo. Tofu only has a knife. So that has to be done in a certain order. As you probably noticed from the general theme about the game, when you look at, say, the types of keys there are, they're all based on cards and suits of cards. And the hint for that puzzle was to light the Queen, the King, and the Jack in that order. Of course, the Queen, the card number is 12, the King is 13, and the Jack is 11. escape the liquor at first, but he got a hit in. And here we go. This is the one I mentioned before. So if you put the cord in where I did, obviously you didn't see the zombies come in through there. If you put it in the room where we first met the liquor, you would have seen them not come through there, but come through the other corridor where I placed them. Or if you didn't put it in either of them, you'd have it in both rooms and then you'd royally be fucked. And this is why I used the crank here earlier. And yes, I realize I have the film. I'm not going to use it just yet.
No! Get away!
Pretty big and ominous and dangerous.
Ben! Can you still hear me? Come on, answer!
Damn! I don't believe this. I almost got the story.
Ben.
Bitter irony. The chief of police, a co-conspirator. Get that scum. Make him pay.
Hang in there, Ben.
Oh, my chest! It's burning!
What's wrong?
Good God, what was that?
Where are you going, Ada?
To the chemical plant. I have a feeling that's where I'll find John.
Ada, wait! Hey! Do you read me, Claire? We now have access to the back of the parking lot.
Got it.
I'm getting out of here and heading to the sewer. Can you meet me there?
I'm on my way.
Poor Ben. So Claire is going to meet us at the chemical plant, which we now have access to because we have the Ford plug. But first, we're going to do some slight inventory management. And we're going to leave it here for the conclusion of part 2 of our Leon A campaign. We can continue next time, and we'll see what awaits Leon in the underground chemical plant.